Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is the orientation session for CIS-141 for the summer of 2017. Welcome to class, and I look forward to working with you. What I wanted to do in this session was basically go through the stuff that we would go through in our first meeting of a face-to-face class. So it's essentially we'll be talking about things like the class syllabus, the class calendar. I'll make sure you're familiar with the Blackboard site. I'll show you the SAM site just very briefly, and that should be about it. So that's what our agenda is. And to get this started, I'm at the Blackboard site now, and as the little dude in the meme says, you know, let's get started. So let's get started with our orientation. Okay, to start, let's begin by opening the syllabus. And if you're at the Blackboard site and you'd like to get that, you can go to the syllabus and class calendar page, and you'll see that the syllabus is right there and the class calendar is right there. I'm going to go ahead and open those up, and here's the syllabus, and I'll just start to make my way down this the pages of this document. But as the greeting says, you know, the purpose of this class is to get you to where you're comfortable working with the computer and you're competent with the basic skills so that you can do all of your WKU work. And hopefully more. Hopefully, you know, we're preparing you to do some things, you know, even beyond that. But we are going to talk about basic concepts in the information systems world, such as, you know, hardware and software, networks, security. We'll spend a good amount of time on security, and so those are the things that we'll be talking about. As this says in the second paragraph, this is an online 5-week course, and so we're going to be moving at a pretty fast rate. Each week in this class we'll cover about the same amount of stuff as we would have covered in 3 weeks in a face-to-face class. And so if this is not your cup of tea, if this is something that you feel is not something you want to undertake, that's okay. You know, you can drop the class I think within the first day or so, and basically you drop it, it's like you were never enrolled in it. But if you're going to stay in the course, please realize this is going to move at a pretty fast rate, and you're going to have to do a lot to keep up. So that's the information that's in this greeting right here. My contact information is listed right there under the instructor section. This is a summer online class, and so I am not going to Grice Hall, hopefully at all. So if you need to reach me, you can call me. There's my cell phone number right there, and you can email me. You have my email right there, and so we can get a hold of each other and we can talk. It's just we're not going to do that face to face. So please, you know, put this information where you can access it when you need it. And this is also on the instructor information page of Blackboard. But there's my phone number and there's my email address. So please reach out to me if you have questions, and but just realize I'm not going to be going to campus. There'll be times while this class is going on that I may be in a different state, and you guys may be in different states, and so that's how you get a hold of me during this class. Okay, let's talk about required materials. You need the book, and the book is listed right there. This is the last term that we're going to use this edition of the book. It's the 15th edition, and it's really inexpensive at this point, which is awesome. If you use that link right there from Amazon, you can see how much it, you know, how inexpensive it is. So, but get the book, and if you know somebody that's taken the class in the last about 3 semesters, they may have this book and they could, you know, loan it to you or sell it to you. But this is the book that we will use, and we will cover a lot of chapters out of it. So you don't want to try and wing this one. I'm going to be presenting information to you based on what's presented in the text, and so you want this as your foundation. Basically, you want to be able to go back to this and read this book and then go from there. So that is the textbook right there. If you're going to work at a computer lab, and I know this is a summer class, so this is probably not the case for most people, but if you're going to work at a WKU computer lab, the mass media lab is open during the summers, and what's good about that is that it has all of the software that we need for this course. What's bad about that is that it's not at your house, and what's also bad about that is for these lectures you have to have a pair of headphones that you can plug into the machine so that you can hear the audio portion. So if you're going to work from a computer lab, make sure you have a pair of earphones that you can use to hear the audio portions of the lessons. And those WKU computers are going to have all of the software, and you won't have to do anything software-wise. If you're going to work from home, if you're going to work on your own computer, you need to have Microsoft Office, some version of it. And there are various versions listed here. Microsoft Office 2016 all the way through Office 2011. Depending on what kind of computer you have, depending on which version of Office you may have, these will work for the SAM projects, which I'm going to ask you to complete. As a student, you are you are allowed to basically put Office 365 on there for free, and you'll see that at the there's a link right there to tutorials on how to do that. But you can get this Office 365 as the full working version of Microsoft Office, and that's paid for through your technology fees that you pay as a student. So and you can install that on up to 5 different computers. And so if you don't have Office and you're working from home, go ahead and download that, put that onto whatever machines you're using, because then you'll have that software and you'll be able to utilize it. Lastly, as far as requirements go, you need to have a broadband internet connection. You need to have, when I talk about unfettered access to a computer with broadband internet service, what I'm meaning by that is you need to have a computer that anytime, day or night, you can get online and have broadband internet. And broadband is basically something that's faster than dial-up. So your cable, DSL, even satellite, something that's going to be faster than dial-up, because we live in a rural state, and there are plenty of places around here where you basically can't get broadband in lots of places unless you go with satellite, which can be quite expensive. And so if you're in that situation where you don't have broadband, you may want to think twice about taking this class, because all of the lecture content is delivered that way. The tests are delivered online. You want a rock solid internet connection, and you should also have, even if you have a good broadband internet connection at your house, have a backup plan in place. So let's say you're planning to take the test this afternoon, and some neighbor down the street's cutting down a tree and they chop the lines, and all of a sudden your internet goes out. Well, you still have to take the test, and so at that point you need to have some secondary location lined up. But it might be a McDonald's or a Starbucks, and so make sure you take your laptop or go to the library and confirm someplace where you live, where you've got a secondary place where you can go and complete tests. That's where and submit homework, because that's where that internet connection will really kind of nip you if you haven't come up with a secondary plan for that. So make sure you have rock solid internet connections. Okay, let's talk about class meetings. I just let my dogs inside, so hopefully you don't hear them running around in the back. As we've already stated, this is a face-to-face. This is not a face-to-face class. It's completely online, and I think this is a lot harder than a face-to-face class. Personally, if I were a student, I don't know how well I would do in online classes, compared to online classes. You have to have a tremendous amount of discipline to make yourself stick to a study plan to get all your homework done, to make sure you're taking your tests and that you're not missing things. And so, as it says in here, towards the bottom of the second paragraph, get a calendar, put all this information that you're about to see onto the calendar, and make sure that you're sticking to your study plan, because with an online class, it's really easy to basically get behind. And so I will be posting reminders about things as they come, as they come due. But ultimately, you are going to be held responsible for completing or not completing work. And there's no submission of stuff late. You can't do tests late. If you miss something, you miss it. And so there's not much grace in an online class. And so that's the format of this class. And if you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine. Just take this in a traditional class during a fall or a spring. But I want to make sure you know that going in. Let's look at the activities that you'll be completing. There are 4 activities that you'll complete on a regular basis, and those are going to be they're listed right there on the page for you. But you'll be reading out of the textbook or through articles that I post for you on the Blackboard site. You'll be watching recorded lectures, and you'll also be completing 12 different SAM projects. And those SAM projects, you'll look at those in just a moment. And then you'll be completing regular exams. And those regular exams are over all the stuff that we've been talking about, less the SAM projects. I don't ask you test questions over the stuff you learn in SAM projects. So your textbook material, the reading material, the lecture material, that's what's assessed in those regular exams. And there are 3 of them. For each of those regular exams, you get there's a 48-hour window, so a 2-day period in which you can complete those. Those tests are timed. You get 30 seconds per question. That's our departmental policy. So you can take those from anywhere you want where there's an internet connection, but you only get 30 seconds per question. And as long as you're completing it within that 48-hour window, then you'll be fine. If you have questions about that, let me know. There's also a comprehensive final exam that you have to take at a proctored location. And what that means is that you have to go somewhere, with your picture ID and basically take it in front of somebody. Now you don't have to come to campus, but you have to go somewhere that you schedule with the distance learning testing center. And so that has to be done on Thursday, July the 6th or Friday, July 7th. So if you're going to be in Barbados or something on July 6th and July 7th, that's a problem, because those are the 2 days where you're allowed to take that test. You need to be somewhere where you can get to a testing facility and complete that test. And it's going to take that comprehensive final is going to take. I've allocated up to 2 hours for it, but it'll probably take you about an hour to complete that. And so that's the one thing that you have to be at a certain place at a certain time to do. All the other stuff is pretty flexible. But that final exam is, as it lists right there, closed node, closed book. It's worth 350 points, I believe. So you cannot pass the class unless you take it. So even if you've done perfectly on everything else and then you skip the final, you're not going to pass. So I have instructions about how to register for that final exam. And I'll show those to you on the Blackboard site. But my advice to you would be, as soon as you're done with this, to go ahead and register for the final exam and get that appointment set up so you can go where you want to, when you want to, and you can be prepared to take that final exam. So those are the things you'll be doing, those activities, those 4 on a very regular basis, this final exam for just one time. And how is the grade determined? Well, the grade is determined according to this. You see right here, there's a syllabus quiz, which you can basically complete. That's the purpose of the syllabus quiz is to make sure you're familiar with what I'm talking about right now. And so you take that syllabus quiz. That's 11 points out of 1,000. Then you have these guys right down here. Your SAM projects, which we've alluded to a number of times already. Those account for 300 total points. Your regular exams, those 3 regular tests, are going to account for 339 points. And then your comprehensive final exam for 350. So altogether, if you got 100% on every single thing, you would have earned 1,000 points. here is the breakdown as far as grades go. For you're looking for 600, 700, 800, 900 points to get the grades that you would like. This is based on points. It's not percentages. Please don't get that confused. If you came in with 899 points as your total number of points you've earned, you've gotten a B. If you've got 799 points, that's a C. So you're trying to get points, and you get those points by scoring well on these activities that you see listed up here. The last day to drop this class with the grade of W is June 20th. So if we get into this class, and that's going to be about 2 weeks into the course. So up to 2 weeks into the course, if you decide, hey, this is just not for me, you can withdraw from the course. So that deadline is important for you to know about. Our department does not approve late drops or late withdrawals. So if you want to get out, you have to get out by that date right there. All right, good. So now let's talk about a few more things, and the rest of these items go pretty quickly. You need to have an email account which you check on a regular basis. During this 5 weeks of this class, I'm going to send emails through Blackboard, and I'm going to expect that you've received it and read it. So if I've gone to Blackboard, open up the email interface and send an email out, I'm going to take for granted that you got that and read it. You may or may not check your WKU email on a regular basis. If you don't, there are instructions right here which tell you how to log into basically TopNet and then tell TopNet which email you do check on a regular basis, and you can start to forward email over. You can, so check that out right there for instructions. But the safest thing to do is just check your WKU email every day during the course of this semester. So that's the information about email. As far as the class website goes, we will use Blackboard, and I'll give you an orientation to the Blackboard website here in just a moment. Most of you have, if you're a WKU student and you're taking this as, in between your freshman and sophomore year or something like that, you're probably really comfortable with Blackboard. But I have had students from other institutions take this class that have never seen Blackboard. So if that's the case you're in, you need to learn the Blackboard website. And if you have questions, call me. You have my cell phone number, call me. I had a guy take the class last summer that had never seen it, got into it kind of late, and basically, man, he struggled really, really badly. And so, if you just gotten on the phone and called me, when he started to have trouble, like, man, we could have saved you a ton of headache, but you have to be proactive in that way. So if you have questions, call me. And this is a great example. So if you're not comfortable with the Blackboard website, if you have questions, get on the phone, call me, and then we can work it out. If you are a veteran and you would like to get potentially get some assistance with the textbook, please visit the Veterans Resource Center. It's right there in Tate Page Hall. It's a really cool service that's on campus, and especially as long as we've had this book in service, that'd be a great place to try and go and basically get a book. Or if you're the dependent of a veteran, go and check that service out. It's something that you've earned through your service, and so please take advantage of that service. It's a really good one. It's right there in Tate Page Hall, room 410. So I try to let people know about that. Not everybody is familiar with that service, but that's a really good one we have on campus. Let's move on to our academic dishonesty policy, and this policy is breaking across pages. I wish I had gotten that all onto one page, but basically what this says is if you cheat on anything, you will fail. I will give you an F for the course. So please don't cheat on anything. Again, if you cheat on any single thing, I will give you an F for the entire course. You're primarily going to be tempted to cheat on SAM projects. You think, hey, this is a summer class. He's not going to be checking this. I've got a friend who took this class over at UK, and I can get his homework assignments and turn those in. it's going to tell me that. You could turn in somebody's homework from Ohio State from 2007. It would tell me whose file you turned it in. And I mean, don't cheat. Please don't cheat. There's no one thing in this class which would completely wreck your grade. I mean, you could completely forget a test, and that's worth like 113 points. That would drop you a letter grade, but you could still pass. You could actually miss 2 tests and still pass the class. I mean, there's no one thing that's going to completely wreck your grade. And so if you get up to a deadline and you're not done with something, just take your lumps and don't try and turn somebody else's stuff in or try and cheat, because you will get caught, and the penalty for that is dire. And in addition to, basically, and as you can see as you scroll down the rest of this policy, if you cheat, what we now do is we now report you to the Office of Student Conduct, and so this then goes on to basically the university is keeping track of this. So if you cheat again, at that point the university says, okay, we're going to kick you out. Cheating has gotten so bad and so rampant at the university that the administration has finally gotten involved with this, and we're trying to curb it. So please don't cheat on anything. If you have questions, contact me. My job over the summer is to help you get through this. All the teaching stuff is there. Everything for this entire class is already there. So for the rest of the summer, my job is going to be to facilitate and help you navigate your way through this gauntlet of stuff that you have to learn and complete. Take advantage of that. Call me, and we can, I can assist you. So please don't cheat on anything. One last note on this cheating thing. This policy also applies to the future. So if you've got a buddy that takes this class in the fall or the spring and they say, hey man, give me your files, don't do it, because essentially what will happen is we'll come back and we'll change your grade. Let's say you pass the class with an A this summer, and then you give your stuff to your friend in the fall or the spring. Well, we'll come back to this grade and we'll change it back to an F. So please don't cheat. Again, the university has really gotten involved, and rightfully so. So please don't. Everybody has to carry their own weight. They have to carry their own water. So please don't cheat on things. Let's look at this next item, the Title IX statement. This is new. You should see this in every single syllabus that you see across campus. Again, the university is getting involved, and as it rightfully should, in helping students if there is any sort of harassment going on. And this gives you information about how to deal with harassment if you're experiencing that, harassment or assault at as a student. You can report that to me, or you can report that to the Center for Testing and Counseling and Testing. If you report it to me, there's what you need to understand about Title IX. There are as you learn about this sort of law, basically, and I'm not a lawyer, but through the training, what I've learned is basically with this particular law, there are certain people deemed responsible employees, and faculty are considered responsible employees. And so if you tell a faculty member, hey, this is going on, and you're telling me, and you're trying to tell me in confidence, or telling me like you would tell a priest or you would tell a lawyer, well, you can't do that with a faculty member. If you tell them that, they have to report that to the Title IX coordinator and investigator. And so if you tell me, then I'm going to go and tell them. That's not to dissuade you from telling somebody, but if you want to tell somebody in confidence, then the people that you would go to would be the people at the Counseling and Testing Center, and there's their phone number right there. And so if you've ever experienced harassment or an assault of some sort, please do report it, but just realize, depending on who you tell, that will determine how it gets handled to some degree. And so if you want to be the master of how that more or less gets handled, then you probably want to go through the Counseling and Testing Center as opposed to telling a faculty member. So there's information on that if you have questions. There's lots of contact numbers on here for information or help. and you can also contact me. So, and you should see that on every syllabus from here going forward. So that's something that we're, as a university, we're trying to better address. Our second to last item to talk about is anybody that has an accommodation form from the Student Accessibility and Resource Center. You need to get that to me like now. Take a picture of it on your phone and send me pictures of your accountability form. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But if you do have some sort of accommodation form, I need to know what that is, and we need to get moving on that, because again, this is only 5 weeks, and we've got to set up a place where you can get your work done. And you need to get on the phone and call me so we can start discussing this. And so anybody that has any sort of accommodation letter, again, take a picture with your phone and text it to me. You have my cell phone number, and then get on the phone and call me, and we can start talking about it, so we can start to figure out how we're going to attack that. So that's the information about accommodation letters. And our last item is about course objectives. And the reason 99% of people in the class don't care about reading this or hearing about this, but some of you are going to be teachers, and some of you, I get a lot of students in this class that are education majors. And what you'll learn as you go and start doing your job is, as you get courses prepared, you'll be asked to basically include course objectives and then talk about how you're going to try and achieve those course objectives. And that's what we're talking about here. The Gordon Ford College of Business has several different objectives that we would like to achieve, and you can see them listed on the pages here. And this particular class is given responsibility for these particular objectives, and so these activities that you see listed over on the right are the things that we think are going to help you guys as students achieve those objectives. And so if you have questions about that, please let me know. And as you become a teacher and start writing your own syllabi, that's something that you will also start to also do. It's just something that we do. So that is the syllabus. So if you have questions about the course objectives, get in touch with me. But that is the class syllabus. And so now what I'd like to do is move over to the class calendar and show you what it looks like, because the class calendar then tells you what you need to set up your calendar, so you can, along with your work schedule or other class schedules that you have, you can start to basically budget your time and do things accordingly. So let me switch over to the class calendar. Looks like this, and if you're on Blackboard, it's this document right here. And as you can see, as you look at this document, we have 3 modules. We basically have 3 chunks, and each of those chunks covers a certain period of time. They're about equal amount of time, day-wise. They're equal amounts of days. And there are certain things we're going to cover within each one of those different modules. Now, I like to name my modules or chunks of the class after fictional characters, typically, because it just helps people remember what they're working on and what's going on. These 3 characters, Delmer, Everett, and Pete, of course, are the 3 guys that were in Oh Brother Where Art Thou movie. If you ever saw that movie, it's these 3 guys right here. And so we're going to start with Delmer, and then we're going to go to Everett, and then we're going to go to Pete over here. So these are our 3 guys that our modules are named after. Does that have anything to do with the class? No, but I thought that was a funny movie. So that's why these modules are named that. What you'll find within each one of these modules, there are a couple of different things listed that you want to be paying a lot of attention to. Like, for example, the syllabus quiz for this class must be completed on June 5th and 6th. Between June 5th and 6th, you have to get that syllabus quiz done. where is that syllabus quiz? Well, I'll show you where that syllabus quiz is at the, on the Blackboard site in just a moment, but that's the, that's how you use this document. So you say, okay, so on June 5th and 6th, I have to make sure I'm completing that particular assessment. Likewise, exam 1, which covers all of this Delmer stuff right here, that's going to be available on June 13th and 14th, and you have to, sometime during that 48-hour period, you need to sit down and get that test completed online. And again, that can be from wherever you want, as long as there's an internet connection. But you have to complete it. Now, realize, please, that these tests are going to disappear at 11:59 on the 14th. So if you start at 10 minutes, like if you start at 11:50 on the 14th, you have 10 minutes to complete that test. Because at 11:59, or 9 minutes, because at 11:59 it's going to turn off. So backtrack from that. Give yourself like a half an hour for each test. I don't remember the exact time for each one of these, but it may be like each test is like 24 minutes long or something like that. But give yourself enough time to succeed. So if it says it's up to 11:59 p.m. on June 14th, don't start at 11:59 because you're going to get 1 minute. So make sure you're giving yourself time. This deadline, talking about SAM projects, you'll see the SAM projects at the Blackboard site in just a minute. All four of the PowerPoint projects, and Word 1 and Word 2 are going to be due at that time on that day. So that's a total of 6 projects are going to be due on June 19th. Already talked about exams, you know what to do with that one. Down here with this other SAM projects deadline, the Word 3 and 4 and the 4 Excel projects are all going to be due at that time on that date. So that's how you use this document. You basically look at what's going to be covered, what the deadlines are, and you put these into your calendar, and then you can start to budget your time accordingly. I have practice tests there already, so you can be preparing for these exam 1s, exam 2, exam 3, and for the final. So you can go into exam 1, exam 2, and exam 3 in the final and have a good idea of what it's going to feel like when you take it. But you have to basically come up with that schedule for yourself, and that's what makes this difficult. If you're new to online classes. So the last item listed is the final exam, and again, that has to be done on July 6th or 7th at a location that has been approved by the testing center, and I'll show you the instructions for that in just a moment at the Blackboard site. But that is the class calendar. Again, all these times are Central Time, so when it talks about 11:59 p.m., if you're over in the Eastern Time Zone or the Mountain or the Pacific or something like that, or you're overseas somewhere, adjust accordingly, please, because at 11:59 p.m. Central Time, that's when these guys are going to chop. That's when these deadlines are going to turn off. So contact me if you have questions. And I just noticed that I have winter 2017. I'll make that the summer 2017. I apologize for that being up there, but this is the correct document. So I'll correct that from winter to summer. But let me know what kind of questions you have. All right, we're doing well. We're right at about 33 minutes right now. Let's go through the Blackboard site, and I'll show you just the SAM login page. And I think that's all that we would, that's what we would do in person on a face-to-face class. So let me show you the announcement page. You've seen this. This is where we started our lesson today. I will be posting announcements here on a pretty regular basis. So this is how I'll be trying to remind you about things and keep you on track. That's the announcement page. When you come to the Blackboard site, that's where you'll land. That's called our landing page, or our home page, if you will, for this site. So I'll try and use this as effectively as possible. If you need my contact information, you have it listed right there. It's also in the syllabus, but there's my contact information on the instructor info page. You've already seen the syllabus and class calendar pages. We've been referring to that throughout this lesson. The lessons page is where you're going to spend probably the bulk of your time. You'll see the three modules are shown here, and we're going to start with the Delmer module. Think back to that schedule you looked at, that calendar you looked at a second ago. And you'll see within it, these are the different lessons, and you're completing this one already, so congratulations, you're getting this one over with right now. If you look inside of that, that's the lesson that you're already watching. That's kind of weird. Next, what you do is a orientation session over SAM projects, and then you learn about chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 in these different folders. Each of these folders contains different things. Let's look at chapter 2 as an example. You'll see inside of it there may be multiple things. So in this particular, for chapter 2, I'm going to talk to you about data and program representation in a digital format. That's what that lesson is. And if you click on that link right there, that opens up a lesson over here. So that is a recorded lecture. These other items, like this right here, is the PowerPoint presentation for that particular chapter's presentation. This right here is a link to this right here and this right here. These are links to other tutorials by other people that I like to use. Like this one, for example, talks about how the central processing unit actually works, and it's about 20. That one right there is about 20 minutes long, but it does a great job. And as I could tell you how that, I could just describe for you how the CPU works, but in that one you get to see it actually working. And so I think that's a more effective way to, and I use this during the semester with face-to-face classes as well. When we get to this chunk, I say, hey, look, watch this movie, and then let's talk about it. And our discussion on it is usually pretty short because this movie does such a good job saying, like, hey, you've got, on the processor, you have the control unit, you have the arithmetic logic unit, you have registers, and it's all connected with these different wires, this bus system. And so as we want to get data from this point to this point, we move them along the bus. And so, and then you see it as you watch it like this movie. So that's the way this site is laid out. Basically, within each module, you have the different lessons, and some of these modules, when you go into like a particular module, there might just be one thing or there might be multiple things. And so as you start a module, my advice would be to get an idea of what's in what, because some chapters are going to take longer than others to complete because they're harder chapters, or they're more complex chapters. And so, as you go into a module, get an idea of what's, how long it's going to take you, and then budget your time accordingly. So let's go back to that lessons page. Again, there are the 3 modules, and everything for the entire course is out there. You can start to, you have to take you cannot take your test early. You need to complete the assessments when they're, during their 48-hour windows. You can complete the SAM stuff early. If you wanted to get all of the SAM stuff done like in the first week, that would be awesome. Go for it. But the assessments like exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, and the final exam, those have to be completed during their 48-hour windows. But you can at least consume the information or learn the information in advance. So let's say you're going to go on vacation towards the end of the 5-week term. Let's say you're going to go with your family somewhere, and you don't want to spend that time doing the school stuff. Well, you can prepare in advance for the assessments, but you'll have to take those assessments during their 48-hour windows. Great. Let's jump over to the SAM. Let's actually go to the quizzes and exams page real quickly. This is the syllabus quiz you see right here. When you click on that, it's going to start into a 11-question syllabus quiz, and you can take that as many times as you want. Please take that until you get like 100% on it, until you get 11 out of 11 points. That's just kind of the gimme. You can have the syllabus open while you do it. There's no time limit, and the whole purpose of that is to make sure that you are familiar with the syllabus and the policies that it pertains to. So that's going to be available on July 5th and 6th. Please make sure up until 11:59 p.m. on July 6th, then that will disappear. So please get that guy done. In this folder, the practice exams, if you look in there, there are 3 different tests. And essentially these are practice tests for exactly what you'll see when you take exam 1, exam 2, and exam 3. And so my advice to you, based on what I've seen with the face-to-face classes, is the more time you do these, the more times you do these, the better you're going to do on the actual exams, exam 1, 2, 3, because you're going to be used to that format. You will see some real test questions in there, peppered in there with what you're seeing. These practice tests are made out of what the entire testing pool, and so you'll see some stuff in here that it only appears on the practice test. But again, the format of it, it all relates back to the textbook. And it also has these 10-minute time limits, so you're used to that whole format of 30 seconds a question and so on. So you let me know what kind of questions you have, but you have this as a really helpful practice aid as you prepare for exams 1, 2, and 3. And that's available from this quizzes and exams page. When we get to exam 1, exam 2, and exam 3, they will show up on this page as well. And also the final exam, it will show up on this page right here too. So that's the quizzes and exams. Let's jump over to the how to register for the final exam. Please do that today. As you click on, there's a little PDF. There's a link to a PDF document right here. If you click on that, it talks about the process for registering for that final exam. Again, it's going to be July 6th or 7th. You can take as long as 120 minutes on it to complete it, but it has instructions here for how to register for that test. And it has like the phone number for the testing center, so if you want to get a hold of them and say, hey, I'm going to be in Destin, or I'm going to be in Colorado, or I'm going to be in so-and-so at that point, can I take it there? Well, you can work that out with them and get that all set up, but you have to complete that final exam at a proctored location, that they approve, and they will set. And what I do is they take care of all of it. And this is part of, like, when you guys pay your online fee for an online course, one of the things you're paying for is for these guys to basically administer this whole final exam process. And so I turn this whole thing over to these guys, and they do a great job with it. But they can help you, follow these instructions and get registered to take your exam at the place of your choosing, during that time frame, and they will help get it done. Let's close with this. Let's basically let's go back to that SAM projects page, and there's an orientation just over SAM, which you complete in this Delmer module. And so you get a complete orientation about this whole thing here. But essentially, this is the page of the Blackboard site, which has the training for all of these SAM projects. We don't expect you to know how to do any of the stuff on the SAM projects. You probably will, but we don't take that for granted. And so for each project, you'll see there's PowerPoint 1, PowerPoint 2, PowerPoint 3, PowerPoint 4. This is a movie in which Dr. Cruz completes that project. Excel 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please watch these movies as you're working on the project. It always makes me sad at the end of a semester or the end of a term. Someone will say to me, hey, someone that does poorly on the SAM will say, hey, there should be some sort of training because I didn't know how to do these. Like, yes, there's training for these SAM projects. Dr. Cruz works through that project right there. Watch that movie, and so on. And so as you watch the orientation movie, it'll address that. The link to the SAM website itself is right there, and what that site looks like is this. And when you log into the SAM project website, it looks like this. And as you start looking at the different projects, you'll see the things here. And so again, you have an entire you're probably going to work from that activity list. You will work from that activity list. That's the best way to do that. But as you're working at the with the SAM stuff, if you have questions, call me. This first round of SAMs, the first 6 SAM projects are due on June 19th. And those are easy points to get. You want to get every one of those. From the SAM projects, you can bank 300 points. And anybody that doesn't do that, I just, that makes me sad for you, because it's 300 points you can get, and then that's just going to make it that much easier for you to do well and get whatever grade you're shooting for from this class. And so, if you have questions on anything, call me. We go back to the announcement page. Let's close up. What I haven't mentioned so far, and because it's so far in the future, is that Blackboard will be completely closed down on June 25th and June 26th. And you'll notice as you look at our calendar, nothing for this class is scheduled for June 25th or 26th. So that's kind of like our 2-day blackout period. And it's, fortunately for us, it's kind of like right at the, towards like we're going to have the first 2/3 done. That blackout period hits. They're going to do some sort of upgrade to the system. So, that's not going to affect us as far as, what we're doing coursework. But, and I'll keep reminding you of that. But June 25th, June 26th, Blackboard will be down. So that Sunday and Monday, take those days and go have some fun. You could still do SAM projects at that point if you wanted to, because SAM is independent of Blackboard. But you wouldn't have to. So that's I want to make sure I mention that. And then if you have questions, call me. You've got my phone number. It's right there. And I'm in Bowling Green. I will be in Bowling Green for most of, if not all of this term. But I look forward to working with you guys. I hope that this is going to be something you enjoy. And thanks for your time and attention.